do what I do, because I don't give a fuck. One or two people side with it, and them the one or two people that's rolling with me. I'm not looking at the majority. I told y'all from day one, the majority's not gonna side with you. I'm only gonna get subscribers here and there, and that's cool. I'd rather have 50 killers than 1,000 soldiers. Yeah. So they always gonna be mad. Welcome. Welcome.
That's just how it is. You have to check this out. Because we're warning guys about the bad woman, which now has pretty much leveraged most of the world. So the type of woman that is good is pretty much slim. We're not teaching hate. We're teaching.
Hey, what's up, class? Come on in, guys. We got an early one, guys. We got an early one. Keep in mind, I forgot about last night. I didn't forget. I actually ended up falling asleep. I passed out. So we will do that Islam versus Christianity today. We'll do that a little later today. That's why I jam-packed this one. That's why I've rushed this one. You know, we got Martin Luther King Day today, guys. And first of all, guys, the disclaimer. Keep in mind that over here, guys, we don't cater to any groups, gangs, communities, religions, or belief systems, especially them old ones. You know what I mean? Them old ones is kind of faulty. All right, guys? So today, guys, what I want you guys to understand is our mind, us as black men and women, black women, our mind is the most important thing to the powers to be, to the people in the places and in the right spots. That our mind, how they can manipulate our mind, is the most important tool and the most important thing to them, to the people that's in the higher power, the higher powers, guys. Government, Satan, Zaddy. If he can get us, if he can manipulate our mind, then he's gold. This is pretty much what he does, guys. There we go with the mental slavery again, guys. You know what I mean? This is what it's all about. This is why I tell you guys, be emotionally intelligent. Because the name of the game, guys, is to get you to feel away so that you trade your money, your assets, your resource to get rid of that feeling. You know what I mean? And the feeling is created by the powers to be. You know what I mean? So that forever puts you in a negative, that forever puts you moving backwards. You know what I mean? This is why I promote more intelligent, emotional intelligence. This is why I promote that you educate yourself over entertaining yourself, guys. So today's video is going to show you guys how fake been the new real. Fake has always been the new real in America, especially for us. You know what I mean? Fake has always been the new real. It's just now more prevalent. We can see it more because of social media. But before social media, can you imagine the stuff that they have gotten by us, that they have bunged us in the head and had us to believe is true? That's what we fitting to do this today, guys. Today, I really asked the question, guys. Did Martin Luther King lead us in the right direction? Or was he the original movement? Was he the original BLM movement? And we know that's government Satan Zaddy's movement. That's government Satan Zaddy's thing right there. That's his thing for black people. You know what I mean? Now, before social media, we had Martin Luther King. We had Malcolm X. We had all of these political activist leaders doing the same thing that Black Lives Matter has been doing. Shouting in the streets, you know what I mean? Standing up, protesting. And this shit ain't get better. This shit got worse. Why? So guys, today I'm going to show you why everything is fake. Why you question everything, all right? You question everything, guys. Everything come by your past. You won't question that. Beloved, do not believe what every spirit. Do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit to see whether they were from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. That's John 4:1, guys, from our basic instructions. That's God, John 4:1 from them basic instructions. So that lets you know. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. All right, guys, let's get into the warm-up video. I think this one is a good one. Very, very good one.
Involved in the whole organization, but the crisis.
Oh my God.
Today we were running an exercise for a company, bearing in mind I'm now in the private sector, and we sat everybody down in the city, 1,000 people involved in the whole organization, but the crisis team. And the most peculiar thing was we based our scenario on the simultaneous attacks on the underground and mainline station. So we had to suddenly switch an exercise from fictional to real.
All right, guys, so pay attention, guys. I need y'all guys to pay attention. I'm not going to interject so much, so I need you to pay attention. You know what I mean? I need you to watch the breakdown here. All right, so he's just telling you that they needed to switch a program. We're going to play that back.
Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Today we were running an exercise for a company, bearing in mind I'm now in the private sector, and we sat everybody down in the city, 1,000 people involved in the whole organization, but the crisis team. And the most peculiar thing was we based our scenario on the simultaneous attacks on the underground and mainline station. So we had to suddenly switch an exercise from fictional to real.
Just to get this right, you were actually working today on an exercise that envisioned virtually this scenario.
Almost precisely. And we chose a scenario with their assistance, which is based on a terrorist attack because they're very close to a property occupied by Jewish businessmen. They're in the city, and there are more American banks in the city than there are in the whole of New York. A logical thing to do.
This is the United States Embassy in a country we shall call land. Psychological operations. This man is the expert on the subject. His name is Leo Hamilton, and he is a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. Earlier today, he was designated the Psychological Operations Staff Officer Advisor. Soon, with the other officers on the advisory team, he will be flying to Hostland. In the area of psychological operations, PSYOP, Colonel Hamilton qualifies as a veteran with considerable field experience. Now he is building on that knowledge, supplementing it with specifics concerning Hostland, its geography, its economy, its governmental structure.
Why we use Miro? Well,
Now you see, this is what I mean by they put you under the test. They put us under the microscope. We've been guinea pigs for a very long time. We've been guinea pigs for a very, very long time. When you filling out them census, when you filling out them questionnaires, all that is intel for them to know how to fix us up, guys.
Above all, he is concerned with its people, their way of life, their religion, their culture, their sense of national identity, or lack of it. He must know the people of Hostland, for their minds will be his primary objective.
You heard that, guys? That's the hint right there. Our mind, how we think, how we communicate. Our mind is his main target, guys. You sleep if you want to, guys. Y'all sleep if you want to. You got too many guys running around here acting like they ain't got no common sense, running around here acting like shit ain't real out here. It's a real war out here. It's a war going on outside. No man is safe from.
As promised by the ambassador, a team of American military advisors arrives in Hostland just a few days after that country's official request for assistance. Their initial destination is the United States Embassy, and they are met by a representative of the military attaché. Like the others on the team, Colonel Hamilton has come to his assignment well prepared. But he still faces many hours of additional study and research before he can begin to initiate a PSYOP program. At the embassy, he meets with the local United States Information Service representative for a briefing on all programs that may be already underway in Hostland.
And that right there, that's talking about the other movements, the other go along, get along groups that's brainwashing the people, the churches, the politics, that's what he's talking about. So they gather, they have these meetings, and they figure us out. They figure us out. Salute to you, Mr. Keon. You already know, man. And I apologize, but we gonna get it in. We gonna definitely do that Islamic versus Christianity today. We gonna kill them churches today.
He reviews the psychological objectives the United States hopes to achieve in Hostland. Objectives based on official U.S. foreign policy. Confers with the chief of the United States Agency for International Development. This knowledge is of vital significance, for his efforts must harmonize all other American activities within Hostland. Writers and publishers. Farmers. And religious leaders.
See, guys, that's why I tell you, those are the main keys. Those are the most important things in our structure, in our infrastructure right there. All right, guys, that's how they control us. You know what I mean? If we can't eat, then we assed out. And of course, those religions, we gonna get into those. We gonna get into those, guys. We gonna get into those. But that's their tools. Those are the leader of their go along, get along gangs. You know what I mean? Let me play that back for you so you can understand.
Confers with the chief of the United States Agency for International Development. This knowledge is of vital significance, for his efforts must harmonize all other American activities within Hostland.
Right, guys, you see that this is why you get canceled when they pay you, when you're a rapper and they pay you to confuse the little kids and they pay you to get them all hyped up to go get sent off to jail. They pay you that. So when you go rapper and you start mentioning stuff about the LBGT or you start mentioning shit about the other go along, get along gangs, you'll get canceled because it don't coincide with the overall plan. So you stepping out of bounds. That's what that meant.
Writers and publishers.
Got to get the news. The fake news got to get out. Our food.
And religious leaders.
And the church.
The church tells its parishioners, no vaccine, no service for you.
And how God ain't never tell nobody that.
Perspective that is peculiar to his own particular group. Problems, real or imagined, will come to the fore. This face-to-face, eye-to-eye confrontation with the population provides the PSYOP officer with a tool that is essential to his job. Insight, a look into the minds of a people, a working knowledge of their individual and group needs, attitudes, and ambitions.
I execute judgment on you, COVID-19. I demand a vaccination to come immediately.
Yes.
The my
Hallelujah. Glory.
What
God
the
of
hell?
peace,
You see this
who is
bullshit?
also
You see this bullshit, yeah?
the Prince of War.
Do you see that bullshit? You see how the churches be running amok on you guys? It's crazy, yo. You can't play with the God like that. But they do it.
As with most countries that find themselves in the midst of a communist-inspired insurgency, Hostland has a population with a doubtful sense of national unity.
You know, none of it. We all live here, but we can't stand America. We can't stand our we have no nationalism.
Hostland does have problems: economic, social, and emotional. And subversive insurgents are always aware of them, always ready to promise instant solutions for the price of revolution.
And those be those fake prophets. Those be those, look, they showing you those be those plants, guys. Those be those Tupacs. Those be those guys that come along and they look great and they sound great and they make a great influence and then they disappear. You know what I mean? They sell a program and they disappear. They get the people hooked. They get the people following them. They get the people worshiping them when we never should worship anybody. Not only should we not go throw coochie on the pedestal, we shouldn't throw people on the pedestal either.
I told you guys, get your popcorn, right?
In the more urban areas, where there is less dissension and more of a sense of national integrity, subversives achieve only minor disturbances at best. But real grievances must not be ignored. Initial analysis indicates that the target audiences can be broken down into three basic groups.
This is how they break us down.
The government supporters.
This is how they break us down.
Initial analysis indicates that the target audiences can be broken down into three basic groups: the subversives, the government supporters, and then the big group in the middle, the uncommitted civilians.
That's us.
Any PSYOP effort will have to encompass all three groups. Having mentally worked out, altered, rejected, and then finally accepted plans for the military psychological operations program, they now prepare to put them on paper as a formal proposal. They list the major psychological objectives, then the various functional group target audiences, the objectives for each of these functional groups, the severity and stage of subversive insurgency in which the various target groups find themselves, the proposed psychological military activities that should be instituted, and the proposed program to help these activities. After securing recommendations and the necessary approvals from his own people, and making sure that the military psychological operations plan fits in with the USIS country plan already in effect, the plan is checked with the government of Hostland. Approved by them, it now becomes the psychological operations doctrine for the Hostland military.
All right, so you guys keep believing that these dudes don't know everything that's going on. These dudes know everything that's going on. They have a solution and a fix for everything if they want it to be fixed. You know what I mean? Stay aware, guys. Remember, this is about your emotional intelligence. Stop letting them play with you. Stop letting these people play with your emotional intelligence, yo. It's not about IQ. It ain't never been about your IQ. You know what I mean? It's all about your EI, guy, your emotional intelligence.
Military forces. To implement the plan, it becomes necessary for Colonel Hamilton to request the support of military training teams, elements of a U.S. Psychological Operations Battalion assigned to his theater of operations. Among the support elements needed are the light mobile printing team with its printing and editorial shelf.
You're going to need the fake news. You're going to need your printing team. You're going to need to get that news out there, because if the people see it, they'll believe it. Remember, they don't got to convince all of us. All they got to do is bang the majority in the head. and that's good enough for them. You know what I mean? So this is where you get the fake news. You know what I mean? See, and this was implemented a long time ago. But you see, it's social media now. So social media is a gift and a curse, because social media can get the fake news out there faster, but social media can also uncover that that's some fake ass shit.
Also needed is a radio team to support existing radio stations, particularly in the back country.
Y'all keep playing with Hot 97 and Power 105 like if they mean well for y'all. They push the worst message. They push all that agenda on their radio stations. And this is why a lot of people brainwash. This is how they brainwash you guys. Those of you that's just coming on in here this morning, yeah, the thumbnail is about Martin Luther King. It's Martin Luther King Day today. His birthday today. But we're going to talk about our emotional intelligence. We're focusing in on our emotional intelligence, because these people, they done played with us far too long. You know what I mean? They done made it to the point where we play with ourselves now. They done convinced us to play with ourselves, play on our own intelligence. But yeah, they gotta have the radio and the news. That's how they get their stupid messages and their propaganda in our bloodstream, in our thinking.
Also needed is a radio team to support existing radio stations, particularly in the back country. An audiovisual vehicle will help to increase the effectiveness of face-to-face communications.
That's fancy for television, guys. When you see it on the television, that's like the face-to-face. So it brings you more closer than the actual radio or the newspaper. That's the television, guys. This is why I tell you guys, education over entertainment all day. Because that entertainment be fucking us up. It be fucking that mentality up.
And the loudspeaker team will support tactical operations. One of the initial steps of the military PSYOP program is directed toward the hostland military establishment itself.
Ain't it crazy how they form on us, man? They gotta do all this stuff to convince us, though, right? An elaborate scheme, yo. All of this shit to get in our brain and control us. Get us to buy in.
Since the military represents the government to the populace, their actions and attitudes can do much to create a favorable image of that government in the minds of the people. Postland soldiers are provided with rules of conduct toward civilians and impressed with the importance of observing them. A soldier's attitude goes a long way toward implementing an effective military PSYOP program. Another portion of the PSYOP program, primarily directed toward the civilian population, is concerned with developing national unity.
Pay attention, guys. For those of you that can't really figure out or don't want to believe Black Lives Matter is fake, guys, this is for you. This is for you. So pay attention. I'll play that back.
Another portion of the PSYOP program, primarily directed toward the civilian population, is concerned with developing national unity. Once the people start to consider themselves as a national group, acceptance of their government tends to increase, thus making penetration by subversives much more difficult.
Y'all heard that?
The proper conduct of the individual soldier towards the people is a critical factor in creating this sense of national unity.
And when they say soldier, guys, I want you guys to think of the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Tupacs, the Dr. Dre's, the NWAs. I want you to think of all of those characters. You know what I mean? How they just came, how they just they act like they was gonna fix this problem that the black folks was having, which was created by the powers to be, and they get us to rally behind them and donate our money, and nothing get fixed.
Difficult. The proper conduct of the individual soldier towards the people is a critical factor in creating this sense of national unity.
Look at Jay.
Touring groups of performers are used to attract attention. They are particularly effective in remote areas. Entertainment or diversion of any kind is eagerly awaited.
See what I mean, guys? That's how he's, let me uncomplicate the common sense, guys. They use these celebrities, right? They use these celebrities so that knowing that we're gonna garner behind the blue checks, the ones with the blue checks, they have the influence over the people. So those are the people that they use and make the deals with to push their agendas. You see how Beyonce, when she wanted the females to go be independent, and that was the agenda when Zaddy wanted the females to feel good about kicking their fathers out of the house. And then they infiltrated the hood, you know what I mean? They infiltrated the hood with that music, you know what I mean? With their music, with their entertainment. And they constantly convince us and gas us with these movies, these storylines to their movies, and all of this. Fake always been the new real, guys. That's how they make the money. People marching in the streets.
Entertainment teams like this one attract crowds of people wherever they appear. Controlled interaction can result in group belonging and assist in developing a sense of national unity.
So now we think we're a part of something. So now we're marching the street.
A continuing effort is made to link the PSYOP program with progress to help the people help themselves. This makes them see the military and the government as positive images.
This is why our ladies won't let go of government zaddy entitlement plan, guys, because they, in the back of their mind, they're cool with it. They don't see how that shit keeps the wealth from their family. They don't see how that shit keep them in an isolated, stupid position. They don't see that because they nationalists now. They believe and they believe in America. So they say, but this is in private though, because then these are the same women that'll go out there and be like, but the white man, but the white man and race, take race off of this, take race off of that. It's not about race when the white man giving y'all everything though. So you see how it's just a mind control thing. It's a mind control, guys. Let me play that back. That was very important that y'all hear that from the horse's mouth, guys. Y'all know I'm gonna do the work for y'all, guys. That's one thing about me. I'll do the work. Y'all just be entertained. Hit that like button, and I'm gonna do the work and make it entertaining, so that you know, so that you're aware. That's all I'm here for. I'm a real prophet, so you know what I mean. And that's why I don't give a hell about what nobody say. I don't subscribe to that dumb shit. You know what I mean? Because I know what it is. It's emotional intelligence over everything. Play that back.
Interaction can result in group belonging and assist in developing
all
a
these
sense
people
of
marching,
national unity.
acting like they're a part of something just to feel a part of something. That's exactly what's going on today. People, they create a diversion and send the people out there like if they fixing something when they created the diversion. So now the people is out there really feeling like, oh, right, they for us. So now they really marching in the street and ain't nothing get fixed at the end of that. Nothing get fixed at the end of that. They've been doing this for the longest, guys. They've been doing this for the longest. And we're going to get into Mr. Martin Luther King. We're going to get into Mr. Martin Luther King and his fraudulent self. He had a dream or did he have a scheme? Was he a part of this shit? Was he part of this shit? Did they send him in to our hood to keep us from fighting back? Just take the slap in the face. And I mean, God say when somebody slap you, you turn the other cheek. But there's also verses in there that tell you when they do the shit that they was doing to us, you got to fight back. Yes. Yes. You know what I mean? So this is why I don't subscribe to the dumb shit. I don't subscribe to no dumb shit. Now, I don't believe nothing. I got trust issues like a motherfucker. And you have to. You have to. It's an attack on our masculinity. It's an attack on our mental state, guys. Don't let them get you. Don't let them take you.
A continuing effort is made to link the PSYOP program with progress to help the people help themselves. This makes them see the military and the government as positive images. Throughout these efforts, the PSYOP program keeps the people informed.
They tell you, they keep us informed, but what they want us to know with their stories, you guys gotta understand. You can only imagine how many stories were created, like real whole stories, like murders and stories just created to get the masses of people who believe in something or get a law passed, guys. You know what I mean? This is how they do. Y'all gotta understand. Hollywood is a $1 trillion industry, guys. These guys can make a motion picture right now. To this day, I don't believe that Rodney King incident went down how it went down. It went down how it went down. That was on tape. But people act like they can't get a crisis team, which they have. Like they can't pay a dude named Rodney King. Magically, his name is King, just like the guy we're about to go over today. You know what I mean? It's certain things, guys, that don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you, man. You got to do the work, though. Or you got to get to some real education. I mean, if you're not going to be one of those that'll do the work and go down these rabbit holes, just get to some education. Read.
What is being done? They are told why it is being done. And they are told how it will benefit them.
News.
In areas where the insurgent is openly recruiting and receiving aid from the people, an internal security program takes the greatest PSYOP effort. That if it were not for the insurgents, these restrictions would not be necessary, and that when insurgent activities cease, restrictions will be removed. Medical attention for wounded civilians should be made available to the maximum extent possible. It must be made very obvious to the civilian that his welfare and safety are of great concern to his government.
But they really don't care.
They are, in fact, the major interest of his government. The complaints of civilians against soldiers are given full attention. Rules of conduct involving actions of soldiers toward civilians are rigidly enforced. The moment the citizen is convinced that his government is there to serve and protect him, he will begin to support and serve his government.
The moment the citizen is convinced that his government is there to serve and protect him, he will begin to support and serve his government.
With the PSYOP program underway, it becomes necessary to evaluate its effectiveness. Improvements and changes must be continually made based on the evaluations of current intelligence. You are looking at the most important man in the world. In America, he is called John Doe. Other countries have other names for him. Improvements and changes must be continually made based on the evaluations of current intelligence. You are looking at the most important man in the world.
I played that back for a reason.
He is called John Doe.
I played that back for a
Have
reason.
other names for him. He is the man without a...
We are the most
You are
important
looking at
man.
the most important man in the world. In America, he is called John Doe. Other countries have other names for him. He is the man without a face. Every man. The average citizen. The man who totals 1 billion when added to all his counterparts all over the world. In the final analysis, he will decide the future of the world. Because his importance is clearly recognized by forces that seek world domination, his mind has become a target.
Because his importance is clearly recognized by forces that seek world domination.
You hear that? I'm gonna play that back.
Because his importance is clearly recognized.
Seek world domination, his mind has become a target.
Because his importance is clearly recognized by forces that seek world domination, his mind has become a target.
Guys, I tell you no lie. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm not here to fool you. I'm not here to trick you. I don't want nothing from you. You know what I mean? I just want y'all to stop acting silly, stop doing dumb shit, and stop fucking up the generations to come. You know what I mean? Let's get it. That's all I want from you guys. And you right, Mr. Keon. Martin Luther King Jr. marched 59 years ago, and what they claim he marched for was not accomplished yet. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to go get into that right now. We're going to get into that right now. We're going to get into that right now. You know what I mean? Because like I said, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all of those guys was our original Black Lives Matter movements created by them, for them. And we got nothing. We got nothing. You know what I mean? So let's just break this down. Let's just look into this without further ado. Let's get it. Again, guys, do your own research. Do your own research. You know what I mean? But if you don't want to do the work, I got you.
And that is that Martin Luther King was right.
I'm gonna be there. In its lifetime. I guess I will have. I guess I'll see you next lifetime. Well, I'm gonna be there. You got me spinning all around. Yeah. You need to know what it do to me.
You that peacemaker guy?
Yeah.
Evil supervillain?
I'm a superhero.
Now what am I supposed to do?
We will return to breaking down the fake later, but for now let's try to understand all of this from the beginning. Martin Luther King appeared, out of nowhere, just out of school, to be elected as president of the Montgomery Improvement Association in 1955, with Edgar Nixon as treasurer. This makes no sense. As a side note, Nixon later became an actor with a stage name Nick Latour. He has an extensive IMDb. But let's focus on Martin Luther King.
Remember, guys, keep an open mind to this. This is just some perspective. You know what I mean? I believe this is the truth. You know what I mean, guys? But you believe what you want. I just tell you guys, stay emotionally intelligent. You know what I mean? You got to watch these motherfuckers. All right, guys? So those of you that just came over, tuned in, hit that like button. That's how you pay your school tuition. And remember, we don't cater to any groups, gangs, communities, or religions, guys.
MLK got his PhD from Boston University in the summer of 1955, and by December of that year he was already elected as president of the MIA. How? Over Edgar Nixon. He had only been back in Montgomery a matter of months. Of course, nothing about MLK's early bio makes any sense. For instance, he is supposed to have gotten a BA, 4 years, a Master of Divinity, 3 years, and a PhD, 5 to 6 years, by the time he was 26. Even if he did the BA in 3 years and the PhD in 4, that is still 10 years in college at age 26. Sounds like a tale to me. You would say he was a genius, but if so, why did he need to plagiarize his dissertation? They insert all sorts of apologetics to explain that, but to me, it is simply evidence of a larger fake. The dissertation was probably inserted later as part of his fake bio, and I doubt he wrote any of it. It was written by the cubicle agents at the CIA. Just as in his first TV appearance, it seems as if he's struggling to read something he supposedly wrote.
Remember, guys, I tell you that they give these guys scripts. They send them into our hood. They give them scripts. They give them propaganda, and they give them agendas that they need to be pushing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying these are bad people, but everybody have a price. Everybody have a price. You know what I mean? Best believe that. You know what I mean?
Inexperienced but determined Dr. King discussed the aims of the boycott in his first filmed interview.
That the seating arrangement would be changed to a first-come, first-served basis.
Follow his eyes as he looks up and down, He's reading something. Listen to his speech patterns. He breaks and struggles.
That Negro passengers would seat from the rear to the front of the bus and the white passengers from the front to the rear, with no reserved seats for any race. That Negro bus drivers would be employed, particularly on predominantly Negro lines. Decided not to ride the buses in Montgomery until we received some.
I'm gonna put that back, guys, because I want to put it back because I want to make it bigger so that you guys can see his eyes. So along with me, you can see the work. You can see the work that you put in when you're trying to catch these lying ass folks.
Interview.
That the seating arrangement would be changed to a first come, first served basis.
Follow his eyes as he looks up and down. He's reading something. Listen to his speech patterns. He breaks and struggles.
That Negro passengers would seat from the rear to the front of the bus and the white passengers from the front to the rear, with no reserved seats for any race. That Negro bus drivers would be employed, particularly on predominantly Negro lines. Decided not to ride the buses in Montgomery until we receive some justice and until we get a hearing, even if it takes a year.
We are told MLK and the other founders of the SCLC was inspired by Billy Graham. Right. Why would these guys be inspired by Billy Graham? Ask yourself if that makes any sense. Billy Graham, who started his crusades in 1947, year one of the CIA. Just a coincidence, right? We were told Billy Graham befriended MLK after he attended one of Graham's crusades in New York in 1957. That doesn't really fit what we were taught about MLK, does it? MLK was supposed to be very progressive. Was Graham progressive? Graham attended Bob Jones University. It was founded by a guy who never attended college and was opened in Panama City, Florida, with 88 students. Can you say another CIA production? Panama City is the home of Tyndall Air Force Base, which includes naval support activity. Other than that, there is no reason for Jones to have opened the school there. He had no prior connections to Florida, according to his bio. Bob Jones University moved to Greenville, South Carolina, in 1947. Note the date. Conveniently, Donaldson Air Force Base is just south of Greenville. Bob Jones University did not admit blacks until 1975, and then began admitting them only because the IRS told them they couldn't keep their tax-exempt status. This was in response to Runyon v. McCrary, which prohibited racial discrimination at private schools. Although Bob Jones University began admitting black students, they didn't allow them to date whites. The IRS revoked their tax status, and the case went to the Supreme Court under Bob Jones University versus the United States. They lost and had to pay $1 million in back taxes. They kept this interracial dating rule until the year 2000. Do these really seem like the kind of people Martin Luther King would be hanging out with?
Your energy feels so damn good to me.
What kind of black person would apply to Bob Jones University? I'd say none. I would bet not one real black person has ever applied, and the Board of Regents probably has to hire a handful of black actors to pretend to be students. Although they now try to sell Billy Graham as a promoter of civil rights, that was not the case. In the time of MLK, Graham preached to segregated audiences and had no problem with it. If you don't believe me, read the comments of this current preacher, Reverend Shockley. He says, as the high priest of the American civil religion, he, more than any other figure, had the moral authority to usher the nation from its racist past to a new multicultural future. But rather than lead, he made only the most modest accommodations possible for the social change happening all around him. From the very beginning of the civil rights movement, Graham made many disparaging remarks about the marches and sit-ins, and warned.
Guys, you got to remember that the victors write the books. The victors, they write the history. You know what I mean? And America is good for that. America is good for that. for rewriting history, and actually because they trifled their way into a victory, then they'll write whatever they want to write and push whatever they want to push and get us to believe whatever they want to believe.
Against moving too fast. Martin Luther King, who inhibited progress while seeming to promote it. MLK's project was very different from Graham's on the surface, but its endgame was the same: protecting the vested interests of the ruling elite by preventing, stalling, or misdirecting any meaningful change. Just as with Graham, MLK's bio is replete with numerology markers. He gave his first sermon in 1947. Martin Luther King's entire output was ghost-written by ghosts, that is to say, Central Intelligence Agency. Support for that comes from the submission by the editors of the Martin Luther King papers, who said that the failure of MLK's teachers to notice his plagiarism was remarkable. They likely knew the papers were written by the CIA, and so were in no position to downgrade them.
Welcome to Puerto Rico.
This is also interesting. This has been reprinted by some websites. Previously we talked about how communism is a fake organization and always has been. I show this not to prove Martin Luther King was communist. It's to prove MLK was in intel, like these people he is sitting with. While they were faking and controlling the communism project, MLK was faking and controlling the civil rights project.
I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
Let's just say that the whole civil rights movement looks managed. The governors could probably see they had to do something, but rather than let things proceed naturally and risk fast and meaningful change, they took control of events and managed them for the minimal inconvenience to themselves.
Exactly, guys. Absolutely. Black Lives Matter. Like I told you. You know what I mean? This was the original Black Lives Matter movement, guys. Ain't shit get accomplished in this movement. And you're right, guys. Let's see what the chat say. Joe Giles, literature controls the mind of the masses. That's a fact, guys. And remember, you don't got to control everybody. All you got to do is get the majority. Once you convince the majority, you won. And that's what they have done. That's what government Zaddy Satan have done. Because that's who all behind this. When you hear me say the powers to be or the people in the higher place, that's the government Satan Zaddy right there, guys.
As usual, they needed to give the appearance of progress, while stifling most real progress. It is very easy to see this with the Rosa Parks event, which they pretty much admit was staged. For the next,
that's what I go back, guys. I just told you how Hollywood is Hollywood, man. They'll stage an event, they'll create a whole movie just to get us, just to get out, to grab our emotions, to grab us and have us buy into their bullshit, guys. Next thing you know, we sitting there donating, and next thing you know, the person that we donated to get the run off. Black Lives Matter.
Next big clue, we go to Stanley Levison, MLK's advisor, close friend, and ghostwriter. That information is not from Stormfront, that is from Wikipedia and Stanford. Levison was a Jewish attorney from New York. He went to Columbia and the New School, both red flags. We have seen the New School in many of these hoaxes. It was founded and funded by Hiram Halley, Jewish, and the Rockefeller Foundation, Jewish. It is one of the premier propaganda and CIA academies in the world, poorly disguised. Levison was a leader of the American Jewish Congress and had also been a leader of the Communist Party. He has no genealogy posted. Levison looks very much like an agent, and he was probably the head of the CIA cubicle that typed out all of Martin Luther King's writings. It is amazing how little is known of this man.
It picks me up, don't want to come down. You got me spinning all around, yeah.
But how did MLK harm the movement? The greatest damage MLK did was with his fake death. But if you don't understand why it was faked, it may be hard to understand how. But let's try to make sense of all of it. It was faked as a warning to uppity blacks. This is what will happen to you if you push for real.
Guys, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. You know what I mean? Keep an open mind. All right? and do your own research. Do your own research. If you're not gonna keep an open mind, then you go do your own research. You know what I mean? But don't be convincing people to believe what you believe just because you believe it. You know what I mean? Do your research, guys.
But how did MLK harm the movement? The greatest damage MLK did was with his fake death. But if you don't understand why it was faked, it may be hard to understand how. But let's try to make sense of all of it. It was faked as a warning to uppity blacks. This is what will happen to you if you push for real change. Some dopey white guy will you when you aren't paying attention. Like most of the other events we have put under a microscope, Tupac, Biggie, Asada, etc., it was staged to create fear. The KKK was invented for the same purpose. Intelligence discovered long ago that a fake event beat a real event every time. In this way, they could create all the fear without any risk to themselves. You can't be prosecuted for a fake crime, can you? You can't be prosecuted for a fake beating, or a fake lynching. But the fakes create the same fear and chaos as the real thing. It is
Hollywood, guys. Hollywood, guys. Fake has always been the new real. Remember that.
all part of Operation Chaos.
You need to know.
Let's move on to the fake. It is said that Martin Luther King's final trip to Memphis spanned 32 hours from April 3rd to 4th, so let's deconstruct what they've reconstructed.
But still, it ain't that type of party now. What am I supposed to do? You want me
I've come to the conclusion that the alleged assassination did not take place on the day or time they claim. Pay attention to the footage. The footage shown is 2 different days pieced together. Notice Jesse Jackson's shirt change. And they cut the camera just as he walked to his room. Here we see Jesse Jackson in 2 different shirts. The problem is that the day before Martin Luther King's fake death, Jesse wore this same shirt on the left, yet on the day of the fake assassination, Jesse Jackson was seen in the same shirt. All they did was change the jacket. The slight color difference is due to the color edit, but it's definitely the same shirt. Jesse Jackson was one of the puppets that would be in the spotlight during this hoax, so they needed to change something.
Knocked him up off of his feet in that direction against that ledger over there.
Here's Jesse Jackson in Martin Luther King's last speech, the day before the alleged assassination.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
You could say he changed, but what about the guy in the corner? He's there in the same outfit for both of Jesse Jackson's outfits. I guess they thought no one would pay attention to him.
Every now and then, there's going to be some slip-ups. Every now and then, there's going to be some slip-ups, guys. It's going to be some slip-ups. And those that pay attention and those that just are not afraid to do the work and you can't beat them in the head and tell them anything, we'll catch it. And now that we got social media, that's what I said. It's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse. Imagine if we'd have had this back then. If we'd have had social media back then, very little would have slipped past us. Very little would have slipped past us.
I know I'm selfish, but I can't.
Share this live, guys. Share this live. Hit that like button.
My point is, it's all a stage play. They probably recorded this scene multiple times. I doubt if the shoot took place at the time they claimed. It also makes no sense. We were told MLK always stayed in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. Wikipedia said it was known as the King Abernathy Suite. That contradicts earlier parts of the history, where it is admitted the king was known to be a target. He had allegedly survived previous assassination attempts. Given that, it would be the height of stupidity to stay in the same room at the same hotel that often. It breaches all the rules of security. You might as well call up the hitman in advance. His loitering on the balcony is also against all rules of security. Another thing that indicates that this was a military operation is that he was allegedly shot at 6:01 p.m. Dopey criminals who leave their rifles in plain sight after a murder aren't normally that punctual, but military intelligence is. The military does things by the clock. The motel owner's brother Thetrice Bailey seems to be trying to scoop Martin Luther King's from the ground into a jar. He's also military. Which brings us to the. This doesn't look like real blood. In fact, it looks too thick. It resembles paint or fake blood they used in movies during the 1960s. Alfred Hitchcock used chocolate syrup as fake blood in his 1960 thriller Psycho. Since the film was in black and white, the color was less important than the consistency. The movie Bloodbath 1966 also seems to use a thick form of liquid.
Will be butterfly. I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
Look at the pool of blood he's laying in. It looks Hollywood. The viscosity, the textures aren't right. To me, it looks like this fake blood in the picture.
So divine.
Guys, I'm sorry for the censor, but YouTube been on my back. You know what I mean? YouTube been on my back with the copyrights. You know what I mean? And I want to bring you guys the real content that everybody's scared to bring you guys. So don't mind the censors. You know what I mean? I might have missed some, but hopefully YouTube don't flag me. But I'm gonna continue to bring you guys real thought-provoking content. You know what I mean? Because once you can get control over your mind, and you could change the laws of your mind and erase that whole belief system that you've been brought up to believe by your hell of a mother, then you on your way. You on your way.
They also said the police were there in a matter of seconds.
I'm coming this way, asking us what happened, you know.
Just that quick?
Just that quick, yeah. In a matter of seconds.
So how did so much pour out to the left side of his body? To me, it appears as if they poured the liquid on the cement first, and Martin Luther King laid on the ground. I always wondered why Martin Luther King had this light mark on the side of his face in one of his last photos.
Yes, I will have. I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
It's in the same location they claim he was. Google this image, you will see the same light mark on all photos of this exact image. Maybe it was just a signal so that everyone around knew where the impact was supposed to be. I'm sure they recorded the entire. It's safely stored away in the CIA locked archives. Amazingly, the stain dried, leaving no trace in a matter of hours. Well, they said the cleanup guy was scooping his to put it in a jar. Maybe the was actually clay. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. Martin Luther King's fake was released in black and white, no cell phones, not everyone running to the crime scene with handheld cameras. The government could get away with anything they wanted by way of radio and TV.
Remember, guys, it was no internet. It was no internet back there, guys. It was no internet back then. And even in this picture, guys, look at how the differential from the people up top on the balcony from the people that's down on the ground. The people on the balcony look startled and stunned, but the people on the ground look like they're going on their daily routine. Don't look like nothing happened. Just peep game, guys.
This was taken by Joseph Lau before Ray had even left the premises. Lau was there so fast because he was staying 3 doors down. Lau was a photographer and filmmaker working on a documentary about King, and he just happened to be there ready to roll. That photo is probably a paste up. Why? Well, study the people on the ground. They don't seem too concerned, do they? You have a dying man above them bleeding to by a high-caliber rifle, and at least 6 people screaming and pointing, but the people on the ground are just continuing their casual conversations. Look at the group of maids over there having a smoke, totally unaware of the scene around them. So it may interest you to know that this Joseph Lau rushed to the studio by a fellow King photographer Ernest Withers to develop his 4 rolls of film. Withers was at the Lorraine with Lau, and is one of those going in and out of room 306. Withers was posthumously outed as an FBI informant. The mainstream media tried to spin that revelation in 2008, claiming Withers was a spy against King. But of course, the better explanation is that all these people were FBI or CIA, including King. The whole event was a project. There were no shits from anywhere.
Just how strong that love is. You need to know what you.
Keep in mind, guys, that's why I played the warm-up video on how they control your mind and how they get you to believe what they want you to believe. This is why I played that video to warm us up and get our mind massaged and open for some truth.
In the motel room, getting out, getting ready to go to dinner. He was going to my house for dinner, as a matter of fact. And as he was going to my house for dinner, as a matter of fact. And as he came out about 3 minutes after he had come out, the shot rang out. But as he came out the door, and
that sound like a story,
then we heard,
like a legit
I had
story,
left
guys.
him
Listen
and
to this
started
shit.
across.
Until it hit his face. It sounded like a stick of dynamite or a large firecracker. Say over our heads because you did not hear a shot. You just saw the explosion and it sounded like a stick of dynamite or a large firecracker.
Notice how they made sure to mention the police were around. I think they're already introducing the conspiracy. The government killed him.
Really didn't have my back to where the shot came from. And when I turned all the way around, we saw the sheriff or the police.
You guys gotta understand, when we have these rapper deaths and we have these celebrities deaths, you know what I mean? They never will admit to it being a fake death. They'll always use the maybe the government killed them, or you know what I mean? They'll pick a person out of left field to arrest and throw it on that person, and God knows if that person ever really went to jail, guys. For all we know, that person could be in a protective custody. He could be somewhere living a life, because they cost to be the boss, guys. It costs to be the boss, and they'll pay. You know how much money? Listen, you could take one plant, you could take one agent, like a Tupac, like a Martin Luther King, like a Malcolm X. You could take one agent and pay that man $1 billion. Do you know how much money that man is bringing in the powers to be? $1 billion wouldn't be shit to them for the amount of influence that character, that particular agent have over the massive amount of people who is spending their money. So they'll make that $1 billion that they gave that agent right back. 4 days.
Up on the hill.
Yes, we heard the shot, definitely. And then we looked in this direction and we saw policemen coming this way, asking us what happened, you know.
Just remember, these guys control the news, they control the newspaper, they control the radio stations, and they control the TV. So whatever they put across that is what you're going to believe. Whatever they tell you is what you're going to believe. Whatever they show you is what you're going to believe. And that's sad. You know what I mean? You guys got to do some work. Y'all got to do the research. Y'all got to put the footwork in for yourself.
That quick.
Just that quick, yeah.
When we turned, all we could see was police coming. Police were coming from the direction of the shot.
The elites are decades ahead of us. But let's move on. Let's look into Martin Luther King's James Earl Ray. None of those pictures really match with what we are told about him, do they? In the first, they have given him an army cut to look like a hick. It doesn't really work. He still looks way too intelligent to be who we are told he is. In the second, he is supposed to have been in jail for many years, but again, the way he looked, too clean. In the third, he looks like an accountant. At what point in his life of crime was that supposed to have been taken? Ray's wiki page reads like bad fiction. For instance, he is supposed to have escaped from the maximum security prison in Missouri in 1967 by hiding in a bread truck, leaving the prison bakery. Right. He is believed to have been sentenced to 4 years in Leavenworth for stealing money orders in Hannibal. The only thing I believe on the whole page is that he was in the army. I would have guessed that, or Navy. I doubt he ever left it. He looks like military intelligence.
I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
James Earl Ray had a second alias, which he allegedly gave to the guy he bought his Game Master rifle from in Birmingham, Harvey Lohmeyer. Ask yourself this: why would he come up with a Jewish name? If you were creating aliases, would you create a Jewish one? Do you really think this Irish Catholic would come up with a Jewish alias? After the alleged Ray dumped his rifle and binoculars near the murder site, without even bothering to bury them. He also didn't bother to wipe them down. They had his fingerprints all over them. He then pled guilty. This doesn't happen. It also conflicts with the prior story, since we are supposed to believe Ray was smart and clever enough to escape a maximum security penitentiary and avoid capture for almost a year, but not smart enough to wear gloves, wipe fingerprints, or hide a gun. 1 minute he is a genius, and the next minute he is an imbecile.
I'm so confused now. What am I?
Ray supposedly fled to Canada, obtaining a passport under the fake name Ramon George Snade. He could not have acquired a Canadian passport under a fake name since security is not that sloppy. He might have manufactured one, but that would make him a genius again. Or an agent. William Pepper later proved that the passport was issued by Kennedy Travel Bureau in Toronto. Of course, it was. He somehow got a flight to England using this fake passport, which is highly unlikely. He then tried to use the fake passport again at Heathrow, making him an imbecile once more. Once in England, he could get anywhere in Europe easily by boat or train, so there was no reason to keep risking the fake passport. At Heathrow, we were told the ticket agent flagged the name on the passport since the name Snade was on a Canadian police watch list. Why would it be on a watch list? How could the police have known he faked a passport under the name Snade? Were they filming him while he created it? We would have to believe another man named Snade just happened to be on a Canadian watch list. Do you know the odds against that? Snade is a very rare name, which means there were only a handful in Canada in 1968. The odds against Ray making up the very rare name Snade and it being on the watch list are astronomical. We are told James Earl Ray's attorney Percy Foreman recommended he plead guilty to avoid a possible death penalty. Great attorney. So Ray is now an imbecile again, not realizing immediately he needed an attorney who thought he could get him off. You don't need an attorney to tell you to plead guilty. Plus, the story again contradicts itself. If we go to Foreman's wiki page, we are told he lost only 53 of 1,500 death penalty cases. With a record like that, he should have been more confident, but that makes no sense, either. 1,500 death penalty cases. How old was Foreman in 1969? He must have been 300. No, he was 67, so he should have been retired. It says he worked as a defense attorney for 35 years. That would be 43 death penalty cases a year, every year.
Remember, guys, 1 + 1 = 2, not 11. I don't care how they dress it up, guys. I don't care how they try to push it and how they try to fancy it and put it in front of you. 1 + 1 will always equal 2, guys.
It's about one a week every week for 35 years. Absurd.
Everybody really feels it all over the nation. And I really don't think that it was necessary. Because now, in my opinion, it's going to provoke more violence. I think all this rioting and so forth is really nonsense. But I was really shocked about Martin Luther King. He wanted this nonviolence and so forth. But
they know how to create that race war, boy. They damn sure do know how to create that race war. Like, look what's going on in Harlem right now. You got the black people against the Spanish people and the Spanish people against the black people because of the girl that got killed in Burger King. You know what I mean? They know how to tug on that race war card. They know how to do that, guys. You know what I mean? And they use us to screw us. They use us to do it to us. You know what I mean? Black Lives Matter.
The people more or less just going out rebelling against it because it was a real big blow, in my opinion, to the entire nation.
Another desired outcome of this faked assassination was race wars, which they came nearer achieving back then than they do now. Although they are still at it, some shake their heads, but no one even thinks of starting a race war. So all we see is the news writers writing for one another. They are hired to supply the required outrage. They create the event and then create the response, so it is okay if you sleep through it. It doesn't matter anymore. All along, they have been faking these things to keep your eyes off the real events. Anything to keep you from realizing the bankers, the military, and intelligence are just three big money pits, siphoning money directly out of the treasuries and giving you absolutely nothing in return. We can now add science to that list since it has become the fourth largest con job. They're all Masonic, took an oath to lie to us. Martin Luther King predicted his own death at his last speech at a Mason temple.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, so I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory.
As they arrested James Earl Ray, the officer gave the old Masonic hand sign. Martin Luther King's son visits James Earl Ray in this staged prison meeting.
Did you kill my father?
No, I didn't know.
Look at the handshake. Masonic. They all know. Martin Luther King never died on April 4th. I'd say that's why they're all filled with duping delight during their interview after the fake assassination.
I want to be a preacher like my father.
You do. And this is Bunny.
Mommy, I'm not going to cry because my dad is not dead. He may be dead physically. And one day, I'm going to see him again.
But how can we explain the body? We saw the funeral, we saw the open. Due to YouTube slowly taking away freedom of speech, partly because of channels like mine, I will not show much. Let's just say, most of the funeral pictures they show were filled with the people who were at the fake or those close to him. I would not doubt that they took a set of pictures privately and prior to the funeral. They could have used the real Martin Luther King to lay there, while the photographer takes the pictures. For public viewing, they could have used a wax body enclosed behind the glass. Maybe that explains why they kept switching. Some rare pictures of MLK behind the glass look as if it could be a fake. I can't show much here. However they pulled it off was genius. We only saw the public crying, while Martin Luther King's close friends and immediate family kept smiles and dry eyes, no tears. We have all been fooled by our leaders and heroes. None of them are who we thought they were. They are all actors sent in to control us. In the case of civil rights, we have been controlled to celebrate a progress that is illusory. We are assured things are getting better as they stay the same or get worse. We are fed some meaningless advances, while all meaningful change is denied us. This applies equally to men and women, black and white, young and old. Black see people like Oprah and Tyler Perry getting rich and think that things are changing. We saw Obama become president and think things are changing. But those are just sweetened pacifiers. They are meaningless since those people are just actors. They are puppets on a stage, dangled to divert you. They apparently named the holiday after the wrong guy. They should have picked a real black leader, not this actor who did nothing for civil rights, but sully it and misdirect it. It is the same with Rosa Parks. She was a propped-up white creation actor, and her promotion has only harmed the movement. The truth is always better than a stage play. Why have civil rights led by these three-fourths whites pretending to be black? I guess it was meant for the whitest blacks only.
All right, guys. So it's been a hell of a morning. We got our education on. You know what I mean? I know we're gonna have some dumb niggas talk about, but if he ain't, how he do that? If he ain't died and where he at? You know what I mean? Guys, this is Hollywood. Guys, we surrounded by Hollywood. You know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say, guys. That's all I'm going to say. We surrounded by Hollywood. So you just got to do your research. Don't be scared to do the work. But again, guys, this was the original Black Lives Matter right here. They sent Martin Luther King to teach us how to not fight back and how to take disrespect. You know what I mean, guys? It go back to what I always tell you guys. It go back to that our famous quote. Mental slavery is the worst form of slavery. It gives you the illusion of freedom. We run around here talk about we free, make you trust and love and defend your oppressors. That's that nationalism. Once they give us something, they give us something for free, then we fuck with them. You know what I mean? As soon as they not giving us nothing, we voting them out. Making an enemy out of those who are trying to free you and open your eyes. You know what I mean, guys? And it's crazy, guys. It's crazy to me that, you know what I mean, they get so many of us. They get so many of us, you know what I mean? Get so many of us caught up in this belief system that they mean well for us, and they don't mean well for us, guys. Be careful who you worship, guys. Put yourself first all the time. That's what I tell you. And guys, keep in mind that later on today, we will be doing the Islam versus Christianity video. I didn't get a chance to do that last night. You know what I mean? I was watching the Anthony Spade show and shit, I fell asleep. You know what I mean? So we're going to definitely get into that today. You know what I mean? Tolo 201. What's up, my guy? You in the house? Yo, Tolo, I'm going to be dropping the link later on today for that Christianity versus Islam video. You know what I mean? So we're going to have a nice little forum. We're going to have an open discussion. I want everybody to tune in and join that live. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be a good one right there. The big business of religion. We're going to break down religion and how they just, like, we have religion in this video right here. They showed you. They go to the religious leaders. They go to our agricultural department. You know what I mean? They go to all our important people that we look up to, you know what I mean, in our neighborhood. And the doctors. Now remember, the doctors, the priests, and our food is the most important thing. That's what runs our neighborhood right there. So if once you get in with those ones and those gatekeepers, you push your agendas to them, what you need to happen, we fuck. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about. Let's look at the chat. Let's see what the chat's saying today before I wrap it up. Get on out of here. Go start my day. You know what I mean? We got Mr. Cleon. One thing for sure that no one can truly debate is it was a lot easier to fake one's death in the 60s. Absolutely, 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 absolutely. You know what I mean? And when they were fighting and kicking ass, none of them even got reported in document and history. They actually kept all of it out on purpose. Absolutely. Like, it's just common sense shit. Like, it's common sense shit. You know what I mean? But so many guys are programmed to believe what they believe. So many guys are programmed to believe the go along, get along ideology. You know what I mean? It sound good. It fit with what they got going on. You know what I mean? Because don't nobody want to really do no work. Everybody want to be lazy. So you just take word of the mouth. You take what's trending. You know what I mean? But guys, it's been a real class. It's been real good. This is real informative. Share this video, guys, on all your social media platforms. Play it back. Those of you that came in late to class, go back, play it back from the beginning. You don't want to miss nothing on this live right here. This live was mega important, mega informative. You know what I mean? And guys, like I say, stay emotionally intelligent. Don't let them get you. Don't let them get you. Tolo says, all smoke and mirrors, but the illusion is being exposed. Yes, we is. Yes, we is. You know, like I tell you guys, man, I am God's favorite son. I am Abraham. I don't subscribe to shit. Can't nobody tell me shit. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. That's how I live my life. But you guys have a good morning. Don't forget to eat breakfast. Eat some breakfast, yo. That's the best. That's the most important meal of the day, guys. So I'm out of here with this one, guys. All right, y'all. Check y'all.